feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. You know, a lot of my brothers are dead and gone, but they've been hanging on the block a little too long. What can I say? I hope they live to see a brighter day. And the ones that are doing fine, God bless you, 'cause you're doing fine. At the end of the day, don't forget about me. As days turn to weeks, and weeks turn to years, oh, I feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see you're not satisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on, straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right, everything inside. But somehow things started to change. Try to get us straight up out of the game. You couldn't see what I saw. The empire was starting to fall. And everything that I said never seemed to get into your head. I tried to do the right thing, living my life with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks, and weeks turn to years.
Yeah, we in the building, y'all. One night just in the house. Yes, yes, yes. Make sure you share. You can copy and paste it and send it as a text message to people too. Yep. I got about 60 seconds before I'm gonna hit the button, y'all. And we have a special guest today. You're gonna love this one. This young lady right here has been in the chat rooms chatting many times on many One Night shows. And I'm glad to meet her for the first time. It's awesome. We got a lot to talk about for the next hour. All right, y'all. Time to hit the button. Once again, it is 4 o'clock on a Sunday, and you are now tuned into the One Night Show with Rock Logic, Stan Morse, Mike Jones, and the infamous Saundrea Coleman in the house. And it's going down. You know, she's a super activist. Super activist. And we have a special guest, Tamika Mapp, who we always see in the chat room, and we are going to chop it up today because she always has a lot to say in the chat room. Always, always, always. She's always supportive. It's going to be good. Once again, I'm giving you time to share to your pages, paste it to your phones. Y'all know we do this every Sunday. I didn't want to talk about last Sunday. I'm going to crack the mic, y'all, because I got Stan in the house.
Tell you, sir. 1, 2, 1, 2.
There you go. You got that Stan. Mike Jones. Saundrea Coleman.
Eyes are here.
There you go.
All
right. Yes, and boom. Everybody's in the house. Yeah. So once again, it's another broadcast, right? Hold on. Mike is gesturing. Do you think so? Yeah, maybe want to give it a little turn. Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right, we set it up. Cool. So yeah, so it's another week and another Sunday of the One Night Show. How many shows have we done so far?
A lot.
Yeah, we've been here for a minute.
Yeah,
now.
been
a lot.
Loads. You know, and I mean, we're getting our legs up in the political arena. You know, with the last 2 events that we were able to attend and moderate, you know, and that's been nice. You know, the 2 mayoral debates with the One Night flag, you know, flying, you know, and us being involved in that. So, you know, things are growing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at it. this week I finally bought a car, so I got some
sir.
wheels. Yeah, I got some wheels.
Okay.
Tired of
What
those.
kind of car? What
It's
kind of
nice
car?
out there. I just took a ride in that car.
I got
Good.
I
What kind of car?
I bought a Dodge Challenger.
Okay. What year? What
So,
year?
2019.
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, 2019.
I'm stuck in 2011.
I had to change, man. I spent all that money in cabs, so it just wasn't making any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Saundrea, how's your weekend? What's going on?
My week was great as usual. You know, I'm grateful, like I always say, to be able to serve the community and, my direct community and beyond. I was featured in the city article by, the city with Rachel Holiday Smith, no relation to Greg Smith, but they on the same, in the same newspaper.
Okay.
And there was actually a scholar and myself that were part of the input of the article, which was really, nice, titled "What is Nycha?" And she humanized us, which I thought was very nice of her. I won't say how long the conversation was, but it was much longer than a regular interview. And we chopped it up, and she was able to just do a dynamic write up, so people could know about, the waiting list and, the history of Nycha and all of that. So it was really good. And then on yesterday, the week, you always, doing mass distribution, checking on residents and stuff like that. Yesterday we did a food distribution. It was about 5 faith-based organizations that have come alongside us and are doing work. Shout out to Julie Menon. She was there. Can you give us some? She's running for District 5. So she came out and she was in the community with us. And then there were some other connections that were made last night. I can't discuss right now, but I will soon. So some big things are on the horizon, but everything is working good. And, the coalition, we had our court date. We were in court and, we were actually really like virtually there. Like we could see them, they could see us this time. And, just still more stipulations and trying to hold Nycha accountable and more, what is it called? They got to do more inspections, which is just ridiculous because they should be held in contempt because, we filed this lawsuit on December 13th of 2019, the residents of Homes Towers and Isaac Houses. Shout out to Homes Isaac Coalition, which I'm a co-founder of. So, and that's it. So we just doing what we doing.
Stan Morse, what's going on this week for you?
Well, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Lisa Vasquez, who lives out in Staten Island.
Yeah.
And she's a Nycha resident and very vocal in complaining about the lack of repairs in her apartment. And then she received a threatening letter that said, pretty much questioning her tenancy. So we backed her up and we got on an email chain and actually got Greg Russ on the email chain. And Greg Russ had to offer her an apology, for this threatening letter. So I just want to say to all Nycha residents, do not be intimidated, because there are intimidation tactics that they're using against residents whenever you speak up. So big shout out to Lisa, who was able to get Greg's attention and make him back down. So I was very happy for that. Big shout out to Sugar Ray. He's announcing his Transform America initiative, where he's trying to raise $1 million to complete the work that we're doing in Queensbridge and expand it, all around the country. So real big shout out to him. Spectrum, New York One came out and covered it. So thanks for them for coming out. And I guess I'm getting ready to take the next stage in this campaign. We're going to have our posters done and all of that. So big shout out to Big Jeff, our photographer. So we're going to put our pictures up and posters up soon and I'll get the word out and really soon hit the streets. So I'm looking forward to that and shocking the world with this independent campaign. So we're ready, we're excited, and we're going to change the world.
Awesome.
Mike Jones. What's going on, Mike Jones? How was your week?
Well, it was cool. I mean, I did a few studying on family and domestic violence, and I also did something on probation and parole.
Wow.
And it was a guy named John Augustus, I believe how you pronounce his name. He was the father of probation. And I noticed that probation was type different back then when he had it started than what it is now. I mean, he was able to actually help his probationers, be a counselor, help them find employment, housing, some type of training, trade process. I mean, the more I kept studying, the more I noticed that it was right now it was more about retribution instead of rehabilitation. I mean, I guess we need more actually good, I can say, criminal justice officers, anything like that, to be in the field instead of who we have now.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? Now that brings me to our very, very special guest, Special guest, Tamika. Please introduce yourself and let the people know what's going on. Big shout out to Tamika Mapp.
Yes.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your show. My name is Tamika Mapp. I'm the State Committeewoman for the East Harlem District, which is the 68th Assembly District. And I'm a Girl Scout leader. I'm a mom. I'm a cat parent. I have 4 cats and 1 dog in my apartment. I'm a Girl Scout leader. I have 5 troops from kindergarten all the way to 9th grade. I'm a service unit manager with Girl Scouts, meaning that I'm responsible for training 137 adults to service 637 girls throughout New York City, which is the East River 1 area of New York. And I'm running for city council for District 8. So that's all I do, right? I own 3 businesses. I do taxes and insurance, property and casualty insurance, not life insurance. And there's not a lot of women of color that owns their own insurance agency. So I'm glad to do that. I also have a non-for-profit called Progressive Educate New Yorkers, where we train people of color how to become independent insurance agency owners. So that's what I do as well, in the midst of speaking up for my community and making sure that our voices are heard at the table at every level. So it's nice to meet you guys.
Well, with all of that going on,
I know, right? That's an
how in
Aquarius.
the world do you have time to run for God? My God. Man,
You know what? I get that question all the time, right? Anything that you want to do, you prioritize, right? So I have a big old calendar in my house, and everything that I do gets a time stamp on that, and I do not go off my calendar to make sure it happened. And the reason why I really stepping up to the plate to run for offices in my community, we are considered afterthought. Changes are being made with us not at the seat at the table to figure out what is going on and how to service my needs. You know, I'm not from the community. I moved in East Harlem in 2009. I was reaching out for a total of 4 years with no response from the state level, the city level, nothing, no response. You know, and I just kept on sitting back. And then I ran a Girl Scout leader troop, you know, because I'm not from here. So I don't know the housing situation when I first got here. But I found it like disheartening when some of my Girl Scouts didn't have a bedroom of their own. Right. And I was like, oh, okay, this is new to me. And I started to do the investigation is because they couldn't afford to leave outside of their home to get a bigger apartment for their family because they stuck in this income bubble. So I started, you know, prying around, looking around, asking a couple people. And then I worked on President Obama's campaign in 2012. And, you know, and I worked in Ohio. So I didn't even work in New York. I worked in Ohio. And I was at Ohio working a team. I was a field director. He used to come in all the time and say, you know what, when this campaign is over, what are you going to do? When this campaign over, what are you going to take away from this? And then I have a friend that live in Brooklyn. It's like, you know what, you'll make a great candidate. You know how to do field, you know how to convince people and stuff. So in 2013, that's when I did my first race for city council in this district. And I didn't raise no money. I didn't know nothing about matching funds. All I knew that I go door to door, get the signatures, you get on the ballot. That was like an easy race. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then unfortunately, I had to drop out later on because my daughter was living with my father in Illinois. And I got the call in August that my daughter committed suicide. So I stopped that campaign. No one knew me. I got in fourth place with that thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like kind of cool. And then I was like, you know, our family court system have not been updated for quite some time across the United States, especially in New York, right? I didn't have my daughter's dead. So what can I do? I had two ways I can play this. I could sit down and feel sorry for myself, or I could put up my pants and just fight like hell for family law. So I fight like hell to make sure that our court system is just for our children. I fight like hell to make sure our mental health for our children is okay. It's okay to say you need help and, you know, to talk your feelings over. We need to get through all that trauma. And then I fight like hell because we need to improve the housing situation in our communities as well. It shouldn't be no reason why you're paying a lot of money in Nycha and you can't even get them to fix your door or to come in and fix a floor. So that's kind of like crazy to me. And then we have our developers coming in and say, you know what, I want to bring a big new building here, but I want to give you 50% of community preference. Hell, fuck 50% of community
Yes,
preference.
right.
We need 100% of community preference because you're building in my neighborhood. And I
Right.
want to be able for my community to get first dibs. Because at 50% community preference, that means I'm going to get 2 apartments. How many people in our community is fighting for housing right now?
Yep.
And that's just not enough. So that's what I fight for. I make sure that our voices is always at the table. And I won the state committee race, and I was like, okay, this is like kind of cool. I got this. And it was not easy. It's not easy breaking into an establishment that's already been built.
Mhm.
When you're seen as an outsider trying to fit in this little puzzle, we don't do things the same. So when you're trying to do things differently and roll differently and bringing the community involved, they trying to ice you out at every chance you get.
Yep.
Don't talk to her. She ain't no good. Why are you going to believe her? It's like, come
Yeah.
on. We're just people just trying to bring something to the table and we all can work together. And I
Exactly.
was like, the only way that's going to change is if I run for city council. That's the only way it's going to change. It's not
Right.
going to change no other way because no matter what position that I run for and win, I'm still going to have the same troubles. So guess what? I'm running for city council. So
All right.
All
March
right.
2nd, we're knocking on doors. We're getting our signatures. We're doing
Yeah.
that. We're doing matching funds. It's hard for matching funds, especially it's hard for a Black woman to ask for money because where I come from, you do 3 things: you don't beg, you don't borrow, and you don't steal.
Yeah.
Right. So when you call people for matching funds, it's kind of like I'm like bagging a little bit. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this, but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
much needed because unfortunately, the way New York do their politics is run on money.
Mhm.
Right. The more money that you have, they consider yourself viable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you
There you
look
go.
at the
Talk about it.
election
Definitely.
things, you're not viable with the money because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that raise a lot of money and
Right.
lost as well. So we need to change that tune as well.
Right.
Just because you don't raise enough money, you are a viable candidate because you're running for the issues. It's not about how
Right.
Right.
much money
Right.
you raise. It's about if you're willing to stand up in your convictions and making sure that your voice is heard. That's what we need. And I
Yeah.
hope, eventually my run, I hope I inspire a lot of people to say, you know what, I can do this. Let's
Mhm.
go out here and do this, right? Just pick up the issues that you care about, get your community on board, and that's how real change is happening. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a community where everybody knows their name, right? I want to see a community where we write in resolutions and say, you know what, New York State, this shit suck. We're going to put a resolution together and we're going to work together to make sure it
Mm.
move. And it's not like that in my community. When I go downtown, I see that. Resolutions is happening at the Democratic clubs, they moving things, but when you come to East Harlem, it's like stagnant. It's like, what's going on? What happened?
Well,
You
it's this
know?
thing, and it's something that you said that's important because you said we need to have a seat at the table, and there's an old saying about that, and the saying goes like this: if you're not invited to sit at the table, then you must be the food.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know what
yes,
I'm saying?
exactly.
So that's the
Yeah,
deal. So yeah, we on the menu. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We don't have that seat. So you need to have that seat. You're 100% right. So what district are you representing in terms of right now? Because you're holding a district office position right now, correct? District leader.
Yeah, I am. So yes, this is a 60. Yeah, I am kind of like a district leader at the state level. So
Okay.
I'm the state committee woman. So it covered the whole Assembly District 68. So all of it, just like I would be if I was the state committee, the state assembly person for the district. We go as far as East 92nd Street all the way up to 137th. And redistricting, they always chopping up the line. So you got to
Mm.
come down a little bit on Second Avenue. Then you got to go up a little bit on Lenox. Then you got to go a little bit up on Lenox Avenue. Then you got to come back down on Madison. So it's a hot mess. So I'm
Yeah.
just curious to see what it's going to look like for the redistricting that's going to be happening now and to see if we're actually going to stay as Assembly District 68 and see if they don't shift us and move us and we won't know that process as
Yeah,
well.
and
So
she's
good.
my direct state woman, committee woman, and she's I see you sometimes at council member Ben Kalo's meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and I think our community board meetings as well, which is good. But what's so weird is you only have for us where I'm at, just those 5 buildings, which is so horrible for us because not you representing us, but the representation, our representation goes up into East Harlem, although we live on the Upper East Side. And it's only the 5 Nycha buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like insane. And I just want to ask you, as a state committee woman, like what are the duties or details, you know, what is your function? Because, you know, some of the people, this is a position that a lot of people are not aware that it exists. And is it men as well or just women? Because I know the district leader is male, female, but is this just for female or is it a male for male positions as well?
Yeah, it's a male and a female position. You know, but that's a good question to talk about what we do. I've been trying to find that information out exactly. It looks like it's the position of whatever you make it, per se. They don't really have no set guidelines on, you know, what I'm supposed to do. I need to know, you know, what I'm doing as a person that likes community involvement. I'm just kind of like doing it as I go. So I created a stop remote motion program for the kids. So we take kids from second grade to 5th grade, and it's almost done right now. We come together and teach them how to do stop motion together online, and they're about to premiere their stop motion picture on the 20th of March. I do a lot of coloring contests.
Just for clarity on that, you're teaching them animation, right?
Yes, animation.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. What stop motion? That's animation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You know, animation where they move their little action figures and the computer, you know, generating and stuff like that. So because it's not enough programs for our community, you know, for our kids in our community. I do a lot of coloring contests for the community. Every holiday I have a coloring contest. I just got done wrapping up Valentine's Day, some cute little pictures that's coming through. I'm on to Easter now. I have a reading challenge because, you know, we're the last people in reading and I'm trying to change that. So I have a reading challenge that goes out as well. You read 25 books. I give you a certificate and a prize, and you can keep on reading as many books as you want because I want our children to be able to, you know, we have some smart kids in our community and we just need to tap into that, right? And
So,
you know, I'm a Girl Scout leader.
Here's what I wanted to ask you, right? So you're doing tremendous things and I love it. And so what would be your, as city councilwoman, what would be your primary platform that you would run on? Like what would be your pet project that you'd be like, this is my, you know, this is my platform. This is what I'm talking about.
Everything that I told you about is kind of like my platform. So I really don't have like one big issue. If I'm going to pick one big issue, is just making sure that we reinvest in our communities by the NYPD budget. So that's my top priority that I want to have, because right now our communities are suffering. Our mental health services are suffering. Our community-based organizations are suffering. Our summer job training program is suffering. I would like to see that universal, meaning that we can have more access for our youth to be able to get that internship, because sometimes the summer youth program is their first job. Their first job is what you need when you want to go for your second job. That first job dictates of how you can talk about your wage, how much money you're going to get at the next job. And if we don't get that opportunity, then our kids don't have no negotiation power to actually say, I'm worth a little bit more with that. So and then trying to figure out how we're going to stop, you know, community-based jails for popping up in our community, right? Yes, we need to lock up the criminals and stuff like that, but we also need to be looking at it holistically. Instead of putting jails in our community, what can we do for reentry? What type of tools we can give so people can come back in our community instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to lock you up and that's it. Because the way it is right now, when you get out of jail, you know, you don't got no ID, you don't got no housing because you can't get into no housing. You don't got no job. So how are you going to be able to do your parole correctly if you don't have all these tools when you come out? So I think, you know, when it comes to reentry, it begins inside the jail. It begins the first time you get your fingerprint made. That's when the plan should be coming about for people who goes to jail, to see what they're going to do afterwards, instead of just letting them out and then Lord for happen, you know, our shelters are crowded.
I like the fact, I like the fact that you want to rehabilitate them, but really, you know what I'm saying? Because if you go to jail, right, your time should be spent learning a trade or a skill, right? If you learn to be an electrician, if you learn to be a woodworker, a carpenter, if you learn to be a mechanic, you should go into jail. You should be able to get a
Some of
skill.
them.
Do they do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that systemic?
They create. If you check out Corecraft, that's a company that makes chairs and the scrubs and soap and all of that's done. Even in New York State, sanitizer was made in prison. I was talking to someone that has been up top and served twice, and it was like, oh no, they can't be doing that in there because there's no. And when oh wow, like it's not just license plates.
Right.
But
exactly.
then they pay them just what,
A little bit, yeah, a little bit of the money.
But they are learning. They have a skill set. They do have a skill set when they come out.
So
from cooking too, yeah.
So then it seems like the problem is the transition.
Yes.
Right. So you get the skill, and then you come out and you can't use the skill.
And it's not worth anything.
Right.
Exactly. You got it in prison.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
the problem.
So that's the issue.
Right.
That's where we got to create the stopgap.
As they had college and prisons and pulled them out, now they're back in again to a degree.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Tamika. Please continue.
That's a good question.
Oh, okay. And then with my friend Shawana with Silent Cry, she just got her bill passed, the post-traumatic prison disorder, where we're fighting to making sure that mental health services is provided inside and outside of the jail, and making sure our people who have mental health, they can come back into the community with a holistic healing center where they can be able to talk about the mental health issues, because, in our community, we don't talk about mental health, we need to talk about it because we go through a lot of trauma, right? Working with Silent Cry opened my eyes up with the trauma that sometimes our children face by the time they get to third grade, right? We have the trauma of poverty, then we have the trauma maybe of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, right? You got the trauma because your mom, did something and now you're with a foster parent. So that foster parent is traumatizing you all over again. So how can we give the tools to our kids to make sure they can deal with our trauma? We have to talk about mental health. And I'm a very proponent of talking about it. There's some great programs, that the city actually did, but it did more harm than good because, I call Thrive. Thrive want to make you do a whole intake before you get to the problem. No, that's wrong. Solve the issue at the front, and then whatever documents you need, you can get that at the back end. But we call this hotline because we need help. We didn't call the hotline to ask for demographics. I call because I'm stressing right now and I need somebody to talk to, not because I want to give you my phone number, my date of birth, where I live, my mama's information that I have. That's too much, and then we need to really, exactly. So, what is that? And then and then we need to revamp our 311. We need to have a separate line for just mental health issues, a separate line for sex trafficking and domestic violence, because those are some sensitive topics. And sometimes another person that went through it can better help the other person to go through a lot of things. So, I'm always bringing people in that been through the problems because we always have the solutions to it. I'm not going to say I know everything. I don't know everything, but I know how to connect people to things so we can actually learn everything together. And that's what I bring to the table. I like to call it a new normal for a new time because we cannot go back the way it was before the pandemic happened. We have to create a new system. Yeah. And I like to tell people that every system that we have, we putting band-aids on an old system that was never ever designed for us. We're putting band-aids on a system that was never ever designed for us. So we need people that is
trying to keep us down. Actually, it was
exactly.
You're right. And then until we fix that, until we fix the parts of the Constitution that don't actually work for us, that's, you're right. It's like putting a band-aid on a dam, right? On a gunshot wound. Like it's like that. So,
it's not going to hold, right? So we need more people like me, like you guys, stepping up and creating our new systems. And that's the only way we're going to change, because some of the things that we're rocking is from like 1920 and 1930. We're in 2021.
Sure.
What was good for my grandfather is not good for me and my children in the future. And everybody want to be stuck in the past. I'm an Aquarius, so we don't look in the past. We look in the future. We look at today, tomorrow, 10 years down the line, we got to figure it out. We can't look back. We can look back to figure out what we did wrong, but what happens is everybody's looking back all the time, and they're getting stuck with the past and don't know how to break through to what's right now and to take what you need. So
Right.
that's what I'm here for.
Do you think, because I know as with people of color, yes, seeing a therapist or something is just like taboo, like they, people don't want to do it. And I'm not saying that's for every Black household, because it's not.
Well, I mean,
No.
that was me.
Right, right.
I was like,
So
I'm not doing that.
Right,
You know,
right.
Right.
So
I'll work it out.
Do
That
you-
was always my.
Yeah.
You're right.
But I will say, after this
Yeah,
pandemic, we're gonna need that
Yeah.
more than ever
Yeah.
before.
Sure.
do you think that maybe I wouldn't want to say elementary, because that's so young and is a
Oh
delicate.
no, it's not.
But you know
But
what I'm saying? I'm
yeah.
saying you'll get some resistance from parents. But at least if we could start it at maybe a junior high school level or a high school level, giving them some type of supportive services voluntarily, do you think that's a possibility? I understand you saying it's not it's not too young, but then the parents with elementary, the parents would have to consent. So I would
Yes,
think,
it would be, right? One thing I love about my daughter's school is they do a temperature check every morning to see how the kids are doing. Right. And then they gauge the whole class on how they're doing. So yes, we can go as young as pre-K, because our pre-K students sometimes is going through a whole bunch of stuff that we can never imagine. Our kindergarten students is probably going through a whole bunch of stuff that we're not imagining. You don't know who touching who they see
Right.
touching who, people's cussing at each other constantly. That's, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. You're stupid. Go sit your butt down. That's abuse right there. So I think that a kid as young as pre-K should be able to say how they feel and normalize it. It's okay to say you're not feeling good, baby. We all have bad days, right? Because I think once we get to junior high, kids kind of learn the coping mechanism is, and sometimes it's not a good coping mechanism. And then they become two adults that have them same bad coping mechanisms until they get fed up and say, you know what, I need to go talk to somebody. But if someone was like, hey baby, how you was doing at 3 years old, 4 years old, and 5 years old, it'd be normal for them to talk about how they're feeling, and maybe they won't have that much trauma for adults. Because once we get to adults, we learn our coping mechanism, right? We learn it. Me, I learned it because I was sexually abused when I was a kid. So I learned how to cope with all of that stuff inside me. And it wasn't until I was 25 years old, I was like, you know what? I need to go see somebody, because I kept on being in that same bubble that I couldn't really get out. And the only way to free it was for me to talk about it. So, that's what I bring to the table, and making sure that all my Girl Scouts know that if you say something, I'm going to hear you. I support you. Talk about your feelings, baby. How are you doing? Because we need to start that conversation now when they're kids. So when they get to high school and being adults, they're used to talking about how they're feeling, and knowing that mental health is what to take care of yourself. Because mental health leads to diabetes, heart disease, and stroke when you don't talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, just the stress of it, the stress level of it, and I think, the root of this conversation about mental health, about Black mental health, is 100% rooted in slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We created coping mechanisms that we still use to this day, in order to cope. So, I think what you're talking about is awesome. Like, it needs to be done. As a community, we are just sort of naturally scarred. And I didn't have anybody to talk to as a kid. I didn't have a therapist. And then one time when I thought I was going crazy, I went to my mom told me, she said, listen, son, the last thing you want to lose is your mind, because it's hard to get back. And I said, Mom, I'm having some troubles. And I went to a psychiatrist's office, I got to tell you. And I walked in and I seen a dude roller skating with a helmet on, but he didn't have one of those skates. And I was like, I'm not that crazy. And I walked back out. Now, I just
Yeah, I understand. I would walk away too. So hey, but I would have went back to find the right one.
You were walking and see that.
Yes.
Did that really happen?
It really happened on the Grand Concourse in 1987.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
I
Okay.
am not that crazy. So
I don't need it.
But yeah, I don't need it. I'm good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think there needs to be that that information that it's not that.
Right.
It's more like this from a therapist.
Supportive.
You're just talking and you're just kind of letting it out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But you know what? It's okay to leave therapists to find your right one. right?
Right.
Because sometimes a therapist, may not understand the trauma that you're going into.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer, if you don't understand my trauma, how I went through, how you going to lead me out of it, right? Because
Mhm.
the trauma that I experienced is not in the textbook.
Mhm. Talk
All
about it.
right. So, so you have to, I fire a lot of therapists, and I'm not scared to say that I still go to therapy to this day because I lost my daughter in 2013. I lost my mother-in-law in 2018. That's a lot of trauma to be coping with. So
Right.
I go. It took me about 25 different therapists to find my one that truly understand the trauma that I was going to. So you don't be scared if, you're on your fourth therapist and you can't find it. Don't be scared because
Right.
there's the right person
Right.
out there for you, but you have to be honest with yourself at the therapy of why you're going. You got to be open, right? Because some people go to therapy because they need to go because that's the parole, and they're not really serious with it. They're just going through the motions. But if you had to go, you had to be serious about it to get the help that you need because it's so freeing. It's so freeing to be around people that really support mental health and see you as a person for mental health. It's freeing because you know that you don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to live in that perfect bubble, right?
And I think that's becoming a conversation, in the country because now the Indianapolis Colts, the football team,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually sponsoring a mental health sort of a thing. And they had one of the football players that was on. He was like, "Listen, it's okay to see a therapist. It's
Right.
Right.
black football player. Sometimes things are overwhelming. Sometimes I need somebody to talk to. So
All the blows to their heads.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
You
okay.
And
might have to talk
sometimes
to
your
somebody.
friends, right? If you can't talk to your friends because if you get in an argument, what's your friends going to do? They're going
Mhm.
to throw that
Throw it
crap
back
right
in your
back at
face.
you,
Right,
Yep.
right?
right,
So now
right.
you're going to relive that trauma again. I like to look at the therapist as my BFF I could tell secrets to because I know it's not going to be thrown back in my face when I have an argument. I
Later
can
on.
leave
Yeah.
that trauma at the therapist and move on. So that's why I like it. And I'm just a prime example of what I want to see in elected official, right? Want to see the human side of the elected official to know that they're human, not the robotic, not the kind of like private. Yeah, there's some things that you ain't going to know about me because that's private, but just parts of me that you're going to know about me because I want you to feel comfortable enough to come to me so we can solve the problems together. Because the way it is right now, we can keep on calling our office and over. They'll get back to some of us or not get back to none of us. And then you get scarred. So I'm not calling that office again because I already called the office 5 years in a row and they
Mm.
still not doing nothing, honey. So why I'm going to call you? And I'm like, well, you got my phone number. That's me that I'm talking to. So I'm trying to bring that it's okay to call the office and someone's going to get your help back as well because that's lost in my community.
So I just want to ask something. Where can we donate to your campaign? I want to kind of do that like right now, and then I want to do it at the end.
Oh, perfect. You can go to map.vote and you'll see the donation thing on the right hand side. And yes, so if you're on here, I need $10. I still need about 40 people from the community to give me the matching funds for the district. Just because, and I'm just going to put out here, just because you don't see me with money does not mean that I'm not a viable candidate. I'm a very viable candidate. I'm very, very viable. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm viable is because of the simple fact that if you look at any of the races that I run, there's a lot of Republican PACs supporting our incumbents to stop me. So that's number
Mm.
one, right? So if you ever hear about parent votes, when you probably heard about them all of 2020, that was a Republican PAC using money to against me so they can not for you guys not to vote for me. So you have to be able to know how to read in between the
What is
lines,
it called
right?
again? Say it again.
It's called Parents Vote. Parents Vote. They're a Republican PAC.
Well, I
And
definitely
they,
appreciate the fact
and
that you're
yeah,
doing a grassroots campaign, and also stating that you're viable. So I hear that often myself. When you're running for office, if you don't have a certain amount of money, you're not viable. But that's
mm-hmm,
you're showing and proving that that's really not true, and that's good because people still
yeah,
vote. It's not just the dollars. People, if they like what you're
exactly.
saying, will still vote for you. Absolutely.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, volunteer hours, that's a lot of money. So
Right.
if you think about it, right, if the non-for-profit, that's why they always want volunteers, because as a non-for-profit, we could turn them volunteer hours into dollars of what you're
Right.
worth. So don't think that you're not picking up a phone or walking petitions. You're worth a lot of money. That's saying, you know what, I want to see change. I believe in you. We're going to do this together. And that's what I'm always going to do. I don't take real estate money because
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
never going to do that, because I'm like, you're not coming in my neighborhood to do anything. So you will never see no real estate pack on my stuff, no revenue stuff on my
There
stuff.
you
And if it
go.
do get sneak over here, I'm sending that shit back because I
You
don't want
know?
it at all.
So,
I don't have no Republican PACs helping me. I am just me
well,
and the
since we're
6,022
kind of
people.
there, how do you feel about the RAD program and those
Oh,
housing
it's
programs?
BS. I don't like it, and I'm not going to go for it because it takes public out of the public housing. The reason why we have public housing is because we need a housing for our people. And once we start privatizing housing, you see where it is. It's no good. I come from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they had red, right? My mother had a promise of moving out of her house to go back on top of the hill that she never got back on top of the hill with. So
Mm.
now there's going to be, if everybody go through RAD and Blueprint, there's not going to be public housing, and everything that we see that's public housing is going to be private, and it's going to be new faces. There's going to be a new turnover. Everybody's going to have to go to South Carolina or Texas just to
Yeah.
be able to make ends meet.
So a little bit.
We're doing that now.
I just want to go back to your experience with RAD. Can you kind of like draw a picture of that for me a little bit on the process of what happened with your mom?
Well, they said it was going to fix up her apartment, so
Did they
they're going to
offer
put
any
her
money or
down.
anything? Did they offer any money? They don't offer money or anything.
No, they didn't
Okay.
offer her any money at the
Okay.
time. They just offer another house down at the bottom of the hill. They demo, meaning they remove every housing that was there. They're supposed to be building new housing, but if you go on top of the hill, it's empty. It's an empty lot. There's nothing
Wow.
there
Wow.
whatsoever.
So they promised her that they were going to they relocated her to fix her apartment.
Horrible.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What
That
I'm
is correct.
And then
Yeah,
and then
They
it
can
never
do
happened.
that.
and then they demolished the building.
Mm-hmm.
sound like a
It never
beanie
happened.
green.
Wow.
Beanie green.
Which
all
it was
over again.
supposed to be rebuilt for her to go back
Yep.
in, correct?
Exactly.
never
That is
happened.
correct. Never happened.
Wow,
Oh.
unbelievable.
Well, there goes RAD, y'all. There goes RAD
Yeah,
firsthand.
yeah,
If y'all want to
yeah.
know what RAD is,
No.
you just heard what RAD is about.
I mean, you look at the pictures, right? They're doing a great job for PR, right? They're showing the handful of pictures that people got new, floors. It looks really, really nice and all, right? But it's just going to be a matter of time for when someone slip up of having a hardship and can't pay the rent and stuff like that, and it's going to be
Yeah.
just as about. I mean, we have the money, right? So let's go back to the accountability process.
Right.
Sure.
What our city elected officials don't do is keep our city officials agencies accountable, right? So NYCHA has money, right? If
Sure
you
do.
look at the budget, they be taking away money from our budget for a long time to support other programs when they really need to be supporting our stuff. But as an elected official's job, your job is to check them.
Right.
Like, hey, why are you spending this money downtown and when we need it here in uptown, and our elected officials don't check them? So there's accounts and policies, right? You only can do what you can do, what you're accountable for, right? We had a lot of people, we had the controller audit NYCHA a million
Mm.
times.
Yes.
Nothing came
Right.
out of that, right? When you
Exactly.
audit something, right, there's supposed
Right.
to be corrections made, right?
Right.
Where's
should
the
be a
corrections
result.
made with the audit?
Right.
There should be a
Right.
result.
Exactly. What's the corrections made with the audit, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's what we need to change. We need to make sure that when we bring elected officials in, that they're going to be checking in on our city agencies and hold them accountable. Right. That's my job as the
You
state
do.
committee person. My job as the state committee person is to make sure the state assembly and the state senator is doing their job. And I do that very well. I hold everybody accountable. I'm like, when I see something, I say something. I ring the phone, I tweet about it, I show up at a lot of virtual lobby days. I'm behind the murder bill. It's a great start with the Marijuana Regulation Taxation Act. It's a great start, but they forgot about New York City, right? We have a lot of community gardens that is not wrapped in there. So, we don't have no guidelines if we can grow marijuana in our community gardens, right? Can we grow marijuana on our vacant land, right? What happens if we sell marijuana to a minor? Is it the same as the tobacco? There's so many holes that's not good. What about our, minority women business owners that want to get in a space like insurance, taxation, marketing, trash pickup? What is it for them? How much is this application fee is going to cost me for me to get in?
Right.
So no one have the answers for this. It's not even in the murder bill. So how you can pass bills that's still going to need to be band-aid when we put new bills forth, we need to make sure that everything is thought out. So there's no band-aids going to be needed for quite
So
some
true.
time.
So true.
Powerful.
Okay.
Do
So
you
that's what I
also
do. I'm policy. I love policy.
no?
They
What you
think I don't know policy, but I love policy. I love to read laws
okay?
and trying to figure out a way how to bring them to today's century, to the right now and into the future, so we don't have to be fighting for the same battles that we're fighting right now.
Can I ask you what your educational background is?
I have a bachelor's degree in paralegal studies with an emphasis on family law, and I have an associate's degree in medical and billing, which is, reading doctor bills and getting paid
Mhm.
and getting the providers to pay for it. So I'm a jack of all trades.
Right.
And the reason why I know so much is because I read.
Right.
Right. If you go to the New York State Assembly's website and you go to the New York State Senate website, the bills is right there.
Yes, they are.
The
They
bills is
are.
right there. Pick something. My thing to all the viewers out here, pick
So true.
one thing that you love, look up that bill and ask you the question, does this protect me right now? And if it doesn't, start writing. You can write a bill and you can get that to your state senator, to your state assembly, get your friends together and lobby that bill before it becomes law. Everybody got that one issue that,
Right.
I cannot stand. That's how new bills is being created because one person has something that's related to them that they want to see in New York State. And I suggest everybody to do it.
And the funny
You
thing
don't
about that is,
need.
what you're saying, and what I like what you're saying is 1,000,000% accurate, and that is the you can just go and read it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to know about the Constitution, you can just go read it.
Yeah.
It's not like they hide it from you because they can't hide it from you. They have to give you a chance to oppose the bill, or whatever, or approve the bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are part of the process, but nobody does that, and everyone
Yeah.
relies on other people to interpret the bill for
Right.
them.
Or these elected officials.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just
Exactly.
reading it yourself and sitting there and going, all right, let me see what this is.
Also, there's proposed bills out too that you could see that's
Mhm.
just sitting there,
Right.
and we can advocate because if it fits what something that we would need,
Right.
then we could also push it as the people, right?
Exactly.
Rally around that. So those are sitting out there too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Pick one issue that you love. Everybody got that one issue that they can't stand.
Right.
Work that way. Get your sister, get your neighbor, get your next door neighbor. They all will feel the same way. Because the one thing that I always teach my Girl Scouts is right when it's cookie time, right? The reason why you don't sell cookies is because you don't ask nobody. Right. The reason why some of these laws is not being changed is because they're not asking us.
Right.
If they ask us, we would be like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do whatever it takes for us to get this bill passed.
Right.
Right. It's just a little bit of us on one bill, then a little bit of us on another bill. Let's all come together and band together and get this one bill passed so we can work on the next, because we have so many bills that needs to be fixing, but we need to get one win first
Yeah.
so
And
we
I
can
think-
move
I
and fix
think-
the rest.
I think what you're saying is very interesting because really, when you talk about the minority community, the only thing we ever come out for is to go and vote, right? And we just started doing that, right? Getting out there and really voting. And then that's the end of the political process for us, right?
But you know why?
But we don't vote in local elections. Though.
Right,
We
or
vote in
local
national-
elections,
the
right?
Local elections, we ignore that.
Right. And what you're saying is it doesn't stop when you vote, right?
Right.
There's a continuing process. There are the local elections, and then there are the bills that you can go and read, and politics should be an ongoing thing, is what you're saying.
Well, politics is an everyday thing, right? It's not when we just vote. The reason why, when I came to New York, it's like, dang, this is how many people vote for you. Like, oh my God, I'm not used to the low number of turnout. But
Yeah.
you have to go to the root of the problem. People are discouraged. People are tired of open promises. So they'll start eventually dropping off to vote. And only the hardcore ones will come out, which is our elderly, because they know that we have to vote. Our lives are dependent on it. But just take a 20-year-old person, right? That just barely making it through their community, right? They go to one CBO, the CBO don't have enough funding, so they cut it out. They may call their elected official one time, call them again for a second time, call them again for the third time. Okay, whatever, nothing. But all of a sudden, when it's election time, hey, how you doing, John? This is, so and so, and I'm running for election. Why should I vote for you when you
Mm,
ignore me all
That's
the
right.
rest of the times?
that's
So,
true.
that's what I'm fighting for, bringing that trust back. When trust is lost in the community, there's not going to be a high turnout with voters
Yeah.
because the trust is lost. How can we, that's what I grapple with every night. How can I, Tamika Mapp, bring that trust back where they be like, you know what, we're going to vote no matter what because I know she got me.
Mm.
When people know that you got them, they're going to come out for you to make sure that you stay wherever you are. But when they start losing that trust in you, they're not coming out to vote. Why should I?
Right.
You didn't give me nothing to vote for.
Exactly.
Whatever.
I didn't see you all year. Now you back,
Yeah,
right?
that's the most
Exactly.
responsive to them.
Good.
They show
You
up,
know?
Mm-hmm.
take a photo out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you don't see them
Family
again.
days, they come and give you money for family days, right? They give you
Yeah,
hamburgers, hot
yeah,
dogs.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Sometimes family days run into election day. So, you got that short-term memory. That hot dog was good. I did see him, so
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
gonna vote for him. But what have you have to look at, especially now with
What
ranked
have
choice
you done
voting.
for me
Lately,
And
lately?
what are you
It's
gonna
not even
continue
what
to
you've done
do?
with me
Right.
lately.
Right.
Mm.
Do the things that I value, are
Mm-hmm.
you pushing for that? Is your policies matching my values? That's how we should be voting. The policies that you lobby and that you put your voice on, does it match what I want in my community? And if the answer is no, you shouldn't be voting for that person
Yeah.
because,
what,
yes, everybody's likable, but can you do your job?
quick question. When is the election day for you? For your
Primary.
June 22nd, June 22nd,
22nd.
2021. Yes.
So people, the clock is
Mm.
ticking.
Do you
And
have
when,
Yes.
Already March. It's already March.
Yeah.
when is petitioning begin?
Yeah.
When does that
Oh,
come?
March
Tuesday.
2nd,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah,
'Cause you're gonna be in
I know,
the
right? His is March
he
9th.
got out of that.
Yeah,
He got out of
I'm a
that.
little bit of ways away from that, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
Do you
know.
got
have
some
a
time.
Do you have a website with your platform and stuff on it? Like so
Uh-huh.
people can view?
Yep.
Okay. What is it?
Map.vote is my website.
Okay.
My issues is like the issues of almost everybody in New York that's running, but for a little bit of twist. I have a domestic violence policy plan on there. I
Right,
have
right.
a community garden because I love the garden, so I want to make sure that we keep our community gardens because that's my little peace of mind, and that's where my Girl Scouts grow food and
Mhm.
learn about the food process as well. And I hope we can be able to keep that because
Okay.
sometimes the city likes to threaten us and take our little garden space away. So I'm
Hmm.
an advocate for, community gardens. As you know, family law, foster care is near and dear to my heart because it falls underneath the family law of it all. So our foster kids need a lot, a lot of support because once
Mhm.
our foster kids age out, they
Hmm.
normally age out with nothing, age
Yeah.
out with nothing. We need to change that.
Right.
When
Yeah.
if the state's supposed to be taking care of our kids, the state's supposed to be taking care of our kids. I would love to see 40% of their money that the foster parents get be kept in a little bond or a little something. So when they age
Wow.
out, they actually have money to put
Mm.
down on their first apartment, to
Right.
get
That's
their
a good idea.
furniture, to be able to navigate the college if they want to go to college, if they want to do a vocational trade, they can do that. Right now, when our kids graduate, get out of foster care, they're homeless. They don't
Right.
have no house,
Yeah.
but if we, with our parents, we can go back to our parents' house with no problem. Foster
Right.
kids can't do that. So we need to change that altogether to making sure that our foster kids that come out, they have a place to call their own because they've been on their own for quite some time.
That's true.
And who are you running against? Who's the incumbent?
Oh, you know what? I don't like to talk about my opponents at
Okay.
Well, how
all.
many people are in a race?
There's about five of us now. It
Gotcha.
used to be
Okay.
Okay.
two, but now it's five since ranked
Okay.
choice voting. So it's
Okay.
really good. I don't talk, I don't really, I like to talk about me,
I
right?
hear you.
Because if
I
you
hear
don't
you.
know my opponent, I'm not giving you no name play.
I hear that.
It's about me, Tamika.
Right. No, hey, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Facts.
That's excellent. Well, I definitely wish you all luck in that. You got a team with
Thank
you
you.
going out with the petition, and you got a team working with you.
Of course, is I have a team of people. It's called my neighbors. I don't have consultants. I don't got no money. So, when you don't have no money, you have to do the work with your community. But that's what elections is all about. I love elections because this is a time where people who are excited to come out and support you. You can actually learn about your neighbor. You can conversate with your neighbor. Of course, I'm doing safely. I'm not taking no pins back. So if you sign with a pin, you're keeping the pin.
Right.
We got some hand sanitizer for the community. We got some masks for the community. So when you actually, it's not in conjunction. If you don't sign my petitions, I don't care. You're still going to get a pin in the mask and some hand sanitizer because I believe that you should be protected. And either way of how this go, I'm not going anywhere. I've been in this race for 8 years, and I'm going to be continued to be in this race until I am here on this earth and in this community fighting for us, because I know that everything that's good is never won in one day.
How many
Sure.
It
signatures
takes
you need?
time.
How many signatures you need?
I need 270, but I'm going to get 1,000 just to be on the safe
Right.
side.
Right. Okay. Now I know
270?
I know we had a conversation, and we don't have to go into the depth of it, but I remember when you ran for assembly. You ran for assembly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
when you look at the differential of the votes, the people didn't show up.
Yeah.
No.
Right? You agree to that? She agrees to that. I mean, the margin was not great, and just thousands of people didn't vote.
I mean, I think and
That matters.
Queens, like 6,000 people voted and 5,000 people voted. You get small numbers like
Yeah.
that, which means if you
makes
get
no
a
sense.
housing development or a community to back you, you can literally win.
Yeah.
With one housing development
Right.
coming
in
out
these
and
races,
in these small
yeah.
races.
Yeah, definitely.
So I definitely
Well,
encourage
you
you
have to.
to get the Nycha folks behind you.
Yeah. If you look at the, I like to look at the EDs. The EDs tells a picture of where the base is, right? Unfortunately, when it comes to some of our, all of our housing developments, who comes out to vote, they're steady voters. We have to get the ones who don't believe in the system.
Right.
And that's the ones, they get registered to vote when they get out of high school, and they just registered. They may come out because someone told them to come out. We need to bring a friend to the polls. We need to go back to doing that. Because when my grandmother was voting, she didn't vote alone. She voted with her next door neighbor, her other next door neighbor with her friend.
Voting
It's like
buddies.
7 of them
Right.
go
Voting
to the
buddies.
Right.
polls.
Yep.
Exactly. So we need to, get back in that. Hey, did you go vote? Are you registered? Okay, I got a ride. Let's hop in a car and start doing that. And I think
Yeah.
once that happens, you can see the numbers turning. And like in my race, since I've been running, the numbers has been increasing, which is really good, because for the state committee, for no one to really know what that position is, we got over 13 almost 13,000 votes for that position that hardly nobody knows. So
Right.
so it's working. It's not going to be like we're going to see the numbers jump all together, but as you see more people participating, and the reason why people is participating is because I'm asking them to. People don't do nothing that you don't ask, right?
Right.
A lot of people want to be involved that we just don't ask. We just assume they're not into politics because they don't come to us. No, we need to change that. Pick up the phone. Hey, Mary, how you doing? What's up, girl? I'm working on this mental health bill. Do you want to help me on that? Oh, and what? Okay, what is
Yeah.
that? And that's how it becomes, and that's how people is coming out to vote, is because I'm actually asking people. I always say that if you see me inside of you, then I'm your right candidate. And I'm never going to do anything that you don't want me to do, because I believe in accountability. I believe in you picking up the phone, you will get me. I don't believe in a high staff turnover. I believe in you get me, let's work on a solution. If I don't know the answer, we'll figure it out together. And I'm not going to know the answer for everything. And I'm admit
Well,
that.
well,
I
I'm
ain't
gonna
going to
re-
sit here and be like, oh,
I'm going to give you a question from the chat room that you probably.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. Lisa Gomez says, is there a bill for your neighbor smoking weed, smoking pot on their terrace, or can I start one to stop my neighbor from smoking pot on their terrace?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I don't know the answer to that one, but I'm going to look it up and put it back in the chat to respond to you. But, you know, I mean, there's a no smoking law, right? You can't smoke inside of your house. But I don't know when it comes to the terrace. But like I tell everybody, yes, you can start one. And if you want to start one, go to Mac that vote, leave your information. We can research it together to see how we can get it done. You can start any bill that you feel that you want to do. There's no stupid bills. You may have to do a little bit of
Hold on.
convincing.
Back it up, Tamika Mapp. Hold on.
What?
You,
I mean, there's not.
you were hitting me with a revelation here. So you mean to say, right, that me, Rock Logic,
Yes.
can write a bill or create a bill, and I can get that bill to my elected official?
If your elected officials, legislative aid likes it, then they're going to run with your idea. They're going to read it on the floor. It's going to go to a committee. The committee's going to hash out whatever legal things they need to do. They're going to be read to the floor again. Then it need to pass the assembly. Then it goes to the governor.
Schoolhouse rock bill.
Exactly. You know what? That's what it is. A lot of people don't know that, though. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people just don't know that.
I didn't know that you could just be like at home in your kitchen and be like, I'm going to write a bill.
Yeah.
And then you send that bill to your elected
strong
official.
about it,
Yeah.
Passionate about that bill. So Lisa Gomez, that's your answer.
Yeah. I mean, how you think bills are being made? Mainly, you know, it's from the legislative aid, right?
But
the legislative aid got to write it up.
I mean, I always thought it was like the politician that wrote the bill. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
no, they're just they're the lip service.
Right, but I
they're
get
the lip service.
Right, I get it that it's from the people, but just to actually sort of be like, now it kind of makes sense now when you have the name, somebody's name on a bill, like it's the such and such bill.
Yeah. You see why there's lobby days? Let me tell you the reason why there are lobby days, right? I go to about 10 lobby days a week. Right. I just got off of the Empire Child Care Lobby Day where I'm helping family daycare providers get the money that they deserve. Right. Family daycare providers have not been updated with their vouchers for quite some time. What it costs to take care of a kid today is totally different from 10 to 13 years ago. So I'm fighting with the state to bring more money so we can give the family daycare providers more money to take care of our kids when the state provides the substance days, right? The reason why there's lobby days is because there's a bill that's sitting in somebody's budget or sitting on somebody's committee that they want to move. And the only way sometimes is to move it is to lobby your elected official, meaning get a group of your friends together, go to the state assembly. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. If they don't show up as the legislative aid, it's okay to talk to the legislative aid because they're the ones who's actually writing the paper up, right? The assembly person and the Senate, they're the ones reading the bill on the floor and giving them their personal testimony of why it should go to a committee. Majority of all bills die in the committee. Right. And the reason why they die in the committee is because our elected officials sometimes does not really truly believe in a bill. Sometimes they're forced to write a bill. So they keep it in the committee and die because they know next year you have to pick that bill back up and put a new number on it. So next year, if that bill doesn't get passed this year, you have to force them again next year to put a new number on the bill so it can come in play for the whole new year. So that's how the whole process works.
Remember that schoolhouse rock?
So you know, you're bringing light to a song that we used to sing as kids.
Yes. That's how I like to look at it. Yeah, that's my favorite song.
Here on Capitol
Hill.
Wow,
Exactly.
Tamika, I love it. Well, listen,
It's true.
Tamika, we've hit our hour. So
oh my God, it's already. Thank you for having me.
it ran so quick, and I mean, you were
It's your
really,
interview.
you know, and you were great. You know what I'm saying? You had a lot of information.
Very, very informative.
Yeah. You know, some of that was, you know, groundbreaking to me. You know, I was like, wow.
Write a bill.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm write a bill because I need.
Yes, please do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, everybody should write a bill.
I think that you should talk to Saundrea because we'd like to have like a little bit of an update on how things are going with your campaign. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, somewhere like I guess around like May, maybe late April. So we can see how things are going, you know, because I think now we're going to start kind of going back to some of the people that we did and just see how they're going.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
About it,
Yeah, did they survive? Did they not survive?
Right.
You know, how's it going?
Did that well.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want
Yes,
to
most
encourage you
definitely.
to keep going. I really appreciate the fact you said you're going to make yourself viable. So I want every candidate out there listening, that was very important. So I'm glad you brought that message out. That was big.
Thank you. Yeah, because we have some good people that's running for office, and it depends on the makeup of a community. Some of our communities are hit hard, and we don't have that financial backing, and some communities can have it. Just because you don't give money, you still
Right.
are a very important person. You're still viable. As long as you
Beautiful.
have a voice and you got some issues that you care about, and your neighbors behind you, that's all it needs. Because people vote, money do not. Money is just a
Absolutely.
vessel to get your message out.
No.
It's the
Right.
people that
Got
actually
it.
make you into this politics game.
Well, Tamika, we will see
All
you
right. Well, thank you. See you later.
May. And I mean, thank you so much for coming on.
Not a
You
problem.
I'll be in touch.
and it's
All
always
right.
nice to
Bye.
see you in the chat room. I'm on, you're
Always.
like
I'll
one
be
of my
see you.
favorites,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you.
Regular.
I'll see y'all next Sunday.
All right, that's a
Bye-bye.
bet. All right,
Thank
bye
All
bye.
right.
you.
Bye.
There it is. You know what? I'm gonna give her the beat. She gets the beat because she was
And she
really
know
there
I-
like that. She was really like that.
Oh, you gonna dance? Go ahead. Put the camera on.
That's how rock
Mike
used to do
is
it.
ready to rock out.
Yeah, right, right. Come on, do that, do that. That's the rock, baby. That's the rock. You know, like she gets the beat. She had to sign
Yeah,
to the beat
so-
Appreciate that.
because she was really good. Someone in Yvonne Lee. She said Nycha boilers are supposed to be changed or upgraded every 40 years. People are sick and
And he's
freezing.
40?
So she says 40. She said
Cut that.
uh,
25, 30, yeah.
Yeah, do that more than that.
people are sick and freezing because the boilers are very old and outdated. A very important issue in the middle of the coronavirus rising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to read that because when you guys chat,
Well, they need
know-
to fix the boilers in the spring,
Right.
not let people suffer in the winter. That's one of the big problems.
right.
It's just it's stupidity.
And I mean, some of those boilers are really, really, really,
Yeah.
really old.
And there's a lot
they-
of patchwork. That's all.
been there since the beginning, and they're not maintained. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, I have a guy. He's a boiler guy, and he was like, "Yo, B, some of those nitrogen boilers are really, old. Just beyond repair, really. So
So you have to replace it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So next week, gang, what are we doing next week, Saundrea?
Still working on it. Stan and I are working on a guest. So
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna keep that quiet
We got some
Yes.
big ones coming up.
Yes.
We gonna
Oh,
keep
yeah, we
that
do.
We
quiet.
got some big ones coming down the
Yeah.
road. for
because
sure.
now we're starting to get into the thick of the season.
Right.
Right. As we get closer to these elections that are happening,
Mm.
you're going to start to see more, candidates come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Might have to
Candidates
do
fall
the-
off.
Yeah.
you might have to do the half hour with each.
Yeah. You might have to do that.
Because it's getting close anyway. So this is at the peak of it. So,
Yeah, they're going to want to do that thing. So, all right. So, you know what? We'll see you next week, 4:00. One night, you one people, baby.
One night you one people.
Y'all see my look at the hand. Look at the hand. One night to one people. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, you good?
One night to one people. Let's rock out.
Okay.
Stand. Look.